AskReddit. What is an industry secret that you know? The stuff that makes movie theater popcorn taste like movie theater popcorn is called flavicle. It's a salt-like additive that you can buy yourself and add to your popcorn at home. A carton lasts forever because you only need like a teaspoon of flavicle per cup of kernels, and it's indistinguishable from the popcorn you get at the movies. Flavicle comes in classic butter and better butter flavors. No joke, the better butter tastes better. You don't need any other seasoning, but you do add oil, dyed canola if you want the authentic experience, to the pot along with the flavicle, of course. If you're in Canada, you can buy the same stuff as the theaters here. More notes, you want butterfly corn kernels, not mushroom. And if you want your popcorn to be even better than the cinema, get white kernels because they don't have husks. Just last night we were playing a gig and my guitarist said he was going to show us a little trick he uses to get everyone on the dance floor. Over the mic he asked everyone to come up in front of the stage so we could get a group picture of everyone who came to the show. As soon as he got the pic we started playing and everyone stayed on the floor until the end of the set. It was a great. Theater seats aren't all the same size. Some are narrower than others. We use a variety to manipulate the sort of arrangement so that you look through a gap between heads, not straight into the head of the person in front of you. That means some seats are better, i.e. wider, than others. I work in theater and absolutely didn't expect to find any secrets here, let alone as the top comment. This isn't always the case. Both spaces I manage have seats of all the same size within that venue. ER veterinarian. When your pets are hospitalized or need to stay at the clinic, unless they are aggressive, need to be monitored very carefully, or we're absolutely slammed. They are constantly getting positive attention from the staff. I've had kennel attendants and techs cuddle up with patients on their breaks. Myself and colleagues have made phone calls or typed up records while holding on to your pets. We routinely talk about how cute the patients are. In fact, it's a running joke that we would get fired immediately if we worked in human medicine, etc. And we do get attached to your pets. We know that your pet got into your weed, and we truly don't care. Seriously. Just be honest. We operate on a triage basis. Sicker things are seen first, regardless of how long others have been waiting. If you're a shitty person and you're constantly upfront complaining to staff about the wait times, the decor, why there isn't enough staff, being difficult in other ways, being dismissive to the non-doctors, and your pet is stable and has been triaged similarly to another pet that came in around the same time, we're not picking up your file until we have to. So much of my job involves giving bad news, talking to emotional people who often take out their feelings on those around them, and having to defend the costs of emergency care and surgery, that I'm not going to eagerly jump into taking a file for someone who's being difficult before they've even been spoken to. The machine that injects white fluff into Twinkie operates at 37°C. If turned up to 55, it blows the twinkle to bits and makes a big mess in the lab. I'm dying to hear how you know this. With pictures. 20 years ago, my office was adjacent to the cake lab. The lab manager liked to experiment, and we gladly participated to eat the results. Hostess has long since gone bankrupt. I have no idea what the process looks like today. When you're buying a higher-end refrigerator, you're basically only paying for fancier doors. Most of the inner workings are the same, just a different door configuration. I used to work in the appliance industry. To be fair, the difference between a low-end kitchen and a high-end kitchen is mostly fancier finishes. You can spend $150 on a melamine cabinet door, or $1,500 on a handmade exotic lumber cabinet door, and they both hide your plates the same. A high-end kitchen can have higher performance features, but as a percent of overall spend those are way overshadowed by the aesthetics. The price hike between 36 inches and 48 inches fridges is crazy though. Used to screen resumes for small companies. Job requirements are more of a wish list situation. Never let some unchecked boxes deter you from applying. You have no idea what the applicant pool is like. The biggest boon, especially at small companies, is someone who legitimately cares. Whenever I leave a job, I look for the posting for my replacement. They always have more requirements than they need. I wouldn't have qualified for my last 3 jobs that I had been doing for years. Apply and let them figure out if you're good enough. Most fitness models, coaches and influencers are using anabolic steroids or did it once at least, and among competitive bodybuilders everyone does it, but almost no one admits it. As a former competitive weightlifter, way more people use anabolic steroids than most people think. Also, that actor who got in really good shape and gained a bunch of muscle for a role? They're using steroids. Hospitals suck at cybersecurity. The cybersecurity field can feel like eldritch horror. Innumerable monsters are lurking at the door and the people who control said door are difficult to reason with. I was told during my driver training for a public bus company, if a car pulls out in front of you, causing you to slam the brakes, hit it. Let the passengers claim insurance from the car driver. If you slam the brakes, avoid the collision, the injured passengers can sue the bus company. Truck drivers aren't usually told this, but same for freight transport. Slamming the brakes or swerving swiftly can cause a mess in cargo. Then with no collision whatsoever, driver is solely responsible for the freight loss. Before we go further, please press the red subscribe button below if you're enjoying this so far. Healthcare IT is held together with duct tape and twine. Related, pay attention to the treatment release forms. Your health data is being sent everywhere and there's not shit you can do about it. No sign, no treatment. Edit. Apparently it is possible to opt out of your state's health information exchange, but it must be done with the exchange itself. The process varies by state and can be painful. Nutrition labels on small, not well-known brands can be inaccurate, and nobody would ever know. Once you send your food product out to a lab to have a nutrition label created for it, that is the last time anyone is ever going to check it. It would take someone to pay for a new analysis at a lab to see if the percentage of core gum, for example, is still accurate, and nobody is going to do that. If you give one website your name, another website your number, and another website your email, there are services that merge info together by scanning the web and build a profile of you for ad targeting and sales. Some of you may assume this already, but it is standard practice and utilized more frequently than you might think. In the restaurant industry, the secret is that the special sauce is often just a clever blend of the same condiments you have in your fridge, mayo, ketchup, and a dash of mystery. Some plus size models get liposuction on their face and necks to be more aesthetically pleasing. I've always noticed that plus size models and popular plus size women tend to be those that don't carry much weight in their faces. Lipo never occurred to me, but it makes total sense. Dawn dish soap is the single best way to clean up an oil spill on the small scale. The US government went to great lengths to try and make their own cheaper in-house equivalent of Dawn for cleaning up oil, but they found that they couldn't make it better or cheaper than Dawn already did, so they just buy Dawn. It's the #1 go-to recommendation for greasy kittens as well. The military typically disposes of old vehicles by parking it somewhere on a large base and abandoning it. Sometimes they use them as training targets. It's cool but eerie to see. I know where there's a lake that's full of Sherman tanks. They drove them out there in the late 50s in the winter and left them to fall through. Knowing the US military, they're not abandoned, but ready to be upgraded. Someday, we'll be seeing aquatic Shermans invading Russia just like Patton wanted. Teachers routinely fudge kids' grades upward. Sometimes it's because a kid is nice. Sometimes it's because administrators pressure us. Sometimes we're afraid of being sued. That high graduation rate at your local HS? It's most likely due to the books being cooked. Eater, I've said this before, but this whole situation is a prime example of Goodhart's law in action. When a metric becomes a target, it loses all meaning. The HSI teacher touts a low number of suspensions and no expulsions this year. And yet, it is almost guaranteed that a student will tell me to go fuck myself when I ask for his phone tomorrow. Eater again. For all the people talking about kids getting held back, that doesn't happen anymore really. I've been teaching 20 years and I can count on one hand the number of students I've seen get held back. It's exceptionally rare. I absolutely should have failed one of my classes junior year. The teacher was on medical leave and I didn't do any of the class work for an entire semester. When she came back suddenly one day, she called everybody up one by one to collect all of their work from that time to be graded. I apologized and told her I didn't do any of it. She looked me up and down and said, well, I'll give you a C for honesty. Really dumb of me to not do the work, but she always liked me because I was quiet and stayed in my lane. Very fortunate that she fudged the shit out of that grade for me. No matter how high up the chain you get, nobody really knows what's going on. Everyone is winging it for any work that falls outside their very specific area of expertise. Honestly, the more of an expert you become in your field, the more you realize how much you are winging it. Whether you're a higher up or not. Don't get me wrong, you are making informed decisions. But a majority of the time you are picking the best option given the information you have. You won't actually find out until later if it was the right option. Recipe for Coca-Cola. Ingredients: citrate caffeine 1 ounce. Extract vanilla 1 ounce. Flavoring 2.5 ounces. Detailed below. Fe. Cocoa 4 ounces, citric acid 3 ounces, lime juice 1 quart, sugar 30 pounds, water 2.5 gallons, caramel sufficient. Flavoring: oil orange 80, oil lemon 120, oil nutmeg 40, oil cinnamon 40, oil coriander 20, oil neroli 40, alcohol 1 quart. Let stand for 24 hours. These are all in US imperial measurements and the flavoring units are in minims or mins. 1 min is literally 1 drop of liquid. That flavoring section, combined with the vanilla extract, is what is collectively known at the company as 7X, the ultra secret 7 things which make the flavor. The alcohol is only used to extract the flavors and doesn't end up in the final drink. I worked at a golf course and we only sold Pepsi products. By accident one day I put some Pepsi in my cup that had a little chai tea in it and it tasted a lot like Coke. Whenever a customer complained about us not having Coke, I would make them my secret recipe and most of them were pleasantly surprised. Makes sense now because of the spices in your recipe. Vehicles are offloaded from roll-on, roll-off ferries, Ross, in a specific order for weight and balance reasons. If you are nice to the crew and give us cookies, you will be offloaded sooner. If you are verbally abusive to the crew, you will be offloaded last. Dead last. For weight and balance. I'm repair tech at Chuck E. Cheese. There are some games we can adjust the payout for and some we can't. We have a number called ticket per play or ticket per tap that we have to try to maintain. Every game and ride is adjusted somehow so we can get to that average number. The length of the ride is so you will tap your card more or less times. Some games have fixed ticket payout we can't adjust, so we adjust other games up or down to get the whole average to that magical number. If one game we can't change pays out 4 tickets on average and the number we want to reach is 6, for instance, I would adjust another game that can be adjusted to 7 or 8 to compensate, because the boss only cares about the average payout on a whole, not on the individual games, unless it's insanely high or low. If a game is cheating you out of tickets, we probably did that on purpose to compensate for something else. This also goes for the claw machine. We can control how often it pays out. Tickets can be bought at 1 penny per ticket. If you drop a quarter into a token machine, if it doesn't pay you 25 tickets, you're better off just buying tickets. No, we don't reuse pizza. It's cheaper and easier to just make another one since we get the ingredients in bulk. It's just that we cut into smaller slices so it's harder to do right. Plus the kitchen personnel usually doesn't care about making it look perfect. No, the job isn't fun. My job is to make sure you have fun. My job is stressful. I'll answer any questions people have. One of my best days ever was when I took my kid to Dave & Buster's. They do the digital tickets there. You play the game, then insert your card to collect the points. Anyway, the place was pretty dead when we were there. I noticed one game that said there were points to collect, so I swiped the card and didn't pay much attention to how many points I collected. I didn't even have a very good idea of what a large amount of points were. So we finish up playing and go to get some prizes. To my surprise, we have like hundreds of thousands of points. So much that the person at the prize counter has to call their manager over. He asks me questions about the card, etc., looking at me suspiciously. I tell him about the game that I collected the points from. We go over to look at it and it is incrementing points up automatically and quickly. Basically, it was broken and loading on points. It's your lucky day, he said. We got all sorts of stuff, glasses, toys, electronics. It was probably like $350 worth of stuff. Like actually $350, not the and be $350. Full stop. Thanks for watching. Please press the like button if you enjoyed and the notification bell next to the subscribe button to never miss another video. Let me know your thoughts below. Bye.